Okay, now we'll discuss this second technique of the multiplexing. Okay, so in that the first point is a wavelength division multiplexing closely resembles the frequency division multiplexing, except that multiplexing and demultiplexing involves optical signals through the fiber optic channels. Okay, so the wavelength division multiplexing and the frequency division multiplexing are somewhat similar, but the only difference is here we have to using the optical signals to send the data. In the frequency division multiplexing, we have to using the analog signals. Okay, and second, the point is the idea is same as to combine the different frequency signals. So as in the frequency division multiplexing, we are also combining the analog signals of the different frequency, and here also we have to combining the optical signals of a different frequency. And difference is that the frequencies are very high in the wavelength division multiplexing. Whatever the frequency value we have to allocate it for the optical signal is very high as compared to the frequency division multiplexing, and designed to utilize the high data rate capability of the fiber optic cable. So as I already told that the whatever the bandwidth we have to allocate it for the whatever the bandwidth we have to use for the fiber optical cable, that is a very high as compared to the other cables. Okay, so it is our response to the utilize those bandwidth of the optical cable. Okay, so that's why we have to using the wavelength division multiplexing to efficiently utilize that bandwidth of the fiber optical cable. Okay, and next point is a very narrow bands of light from the different sources combine to make the wider band of a light. Narrow band of light is nothing but here a lower intensity of the light we need to combine to make the higher intensity of light. So that what we have to call as a very narrow band of light we need to combine and to produce the wider band of a light. Okay, and the last point is at the receiver the signals are separated by the demultiplexer. At the receiver we need to, by using the demultiplexer, we need to separate those signals into its respective intensity values. Okay, so here there is a diagram for the wavelength division multiplexer. So there is a 3 input signals. Yeah, so there is a, they have given the lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 that will indicate the wavelength of the each input signals. Okay, by using the wavelength division multiplexing, that is a WDM. Okay, so by using this WDM we need to combine those signals, optical signals of a different wavelength. Okay, and combined signal we need to transmit over the link, and at the receiver side by using the demultiplexer, so it will separates the optical signals into its respective wavelength. Okay, and it will deliver to the respective receivers. Okay, so here lambda 1 is how there is a relation between the lambda 1 and the intensity. If lambda 1 is nothing but the wavelength. Okay, so there is a relationship between the wavelength and the intensity. If the wavelength is very high, the intensity is low. The wavelength is very low, then the intensity of the optical signal is very high. Okay, so that's why when you combine these signals of different wavelength, then the intensity of the light will be increases, and that will be delivered to the receiver. And by using the demultiplexer, it will separate the optical signal into its respective intensity of the wavelength and deliver to the respective receiver device. Okay, so that is the wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, so next one is there is some other points are there about the wavelength division multiplexing. So multiplexing and demultiplexing of the light signals is done with the help of the prism. Okay, so I think already you have heard the what is the prism in the physics. Okay, so whenever you have to pass the light to the prism, the light will be bends. Okay, so that particular theorem we have to using to multiplex the optical signals here. Okay, so that way second find that is telling that prism bends a beam of a light based on the angle of incidence and the frequency. Okay, means here we have to using the prism, two prism. One prism we have to use for to multiplex the optical signals of a different wavelength, and another prism we have to use for to the demultiplexer to separate the optical signals into its respective wavelength. Okay, so here at the multiplexer side, the prism will combines or the multiplex the optical signals. Okay, after that will be transmitted over the link, and at the demultiplexer side it will separate the optical signals into its respective wavelength. Okay, so that is the prism bends the light beam of a light based on the angle of incidence and the frequency, means on which angle the particular light is incident on the prism and the frequency. So there is a relationship between the frequency and the wavelength. Okay, that is inversely proportional to each other, frequency and the wavelength. Okay, so that's why they are told that prism is bends a beam of light based on the angle of incidence and the frequency. Okay, so using this technique, the multiplexer made to combine the several input beams of a light into the one output beam of a wide band of a frequency. Okay, that will combines into the one output, that is a wide band of a frequency. Okay, and at the demultiplexer, okay, that is the second point, that is the demultiplexer can also made the reverse procedure, means the demultiplexer which separates the signal into its respective wavelength or the frequency. Okay, next one is one application of the wavelength division multiplexing is SONET network, that is one application. Okay, so here next is next point is a dense wavelength division multiplexing can multiplex the very large number of a channel, it achieves the greater efficiency. So dense wavelength division multiplexing is nothing but, as the name indicates, dense, it will combines the large number of a channels, or it will multiplex the large number of a channels, okay, to achieve the greater efficiency. Okay, so this is what wavelength division multiplexing. Next we will go to the, that is the third technique of the multiplexing technique, multiplexing, that is the time division multiplexing. Okay, so here what happened in this time division multiplexing, it will divides the how it will share the bandwidth of the link in the timely manner. Okay, and each connect, second point is each connection occupies a portion of the time in the link. Okay, so here saw this particular diagram. Okay, so there is a totally 4 sending devices are there. There indicates of one device, second device, third device, and the fourth device. Okay, so these are all devices are shared this particular bandwidth in the timely manner. Okay, so there is the first device send the signal in this particular time. Okay, and the second device send the data in that particular time, and same that third and fourth device. Okay, so after completing the one time slot, so again the first device will be come into the picture. So here again it will sends its remaining signal within that time, again the second device, again third device, again fourth device. Okay, I can get, after completing the second slots, it will go to the, again the first device will send the signal, remaining signal is allocated time, and second and third and fourth. Okay, until it transmit the all the signals. Okay, so here what happened, whatever the time is allocated for the each device, within that time each device has utilized that whole bandwidth of the link. Okay, if one has is allocated time t, so within that time it will utilize the whole bandwidth of the link and send the data. After its time is over, then that bandwidth of that particular link is handed over to the second device. Same thing, second to the third and third to the fourth. Okay, so it will be in the round robin fashion. Okay, so that's why what they have told it here, the share the high bandwidth of the link in the timely manner, and each connection is occupy the portion of the time in the link. Okay, there is a time is allocated for the each device, so within that within that time only the device can use the full bandwidth of that particular link. Okay, so that what we have to show in the figure. Okay, in the figure there is a 1 2 3 4 occupy the link sequentially. Okay, so here each signal will get the 3 time slot, that is a 1 has got the 3 time slot. Here this is a 1 slot, second slot, and third slot, same thing 2 also. Okay, they will get the 3 time slots. Okay, the demultiplexer side, it will separates the signals and send to the respective device. Okay, so this is the what basics about the time division multiplexing. So they have given one no time division digital multiplexing technique for combining several low rate digital signal into the one high rate 1. Okay, and next there is a first type is a synchronous. There is a two types of the time division multiplexing. The first one is a synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay, so in synchronous time division multiplexing, what is a synchronous time division multiplexing here? Okay, so they are given the block diagram for the synchronous time division multiplexing. So the first point in the synchronous time division multiplexing is data flow of the each input connection is here we need to divide it into the units. So look at there is a totally 3 connections are there. Okay, so each connection we have to divide it into the 3 units. Okay, so that's why they have told that here the data flow of the each input connection is divided into the units. Okay, the each unit can be a 1 bit or the 1 character or the 1 block. Okay, so here each unit contains a 1 character here, each unit. Okay, 1 character. Okay, and next is each input occupy the 1 input time slot. Okay, so here what happened, the each input. Okay, so if there is a A3 is a input, so it will occupy the T time. Okay, same thing if B3 is there, it will occupy the T time, C3 will be occupy the T time. Okay, so that what they have told here, each input has occupied the 1 time slot and each input unit has occupied the 1 output time slot. Okay, so here at the output side, if for example there is a input unit is a A1, so it will occupy the 1 output time slots. So here it will A1 will occupy the 1 output time slot. Okay, so in the frame. Okay, so that time slot is we have to call as a T by 3. Okay, so T by 3 is nothing but what? T is the time, 3 is nothing but the total number of a connection. There is a 3 connection, so that's why it is a T by 3. Okay, so that is what. And next one is the duration of the output time slot is n times shorter than the duration of the input time slot. Okay, and next one is if input time slot is Ts, then output time slot is a T by n, where n is the number of connections. Okay, so here what happened, the input time slot is the T. For example, input time slot for the A1 is T, so output time slot for that A1 will be the T by 3, that is T by n, as I told here. Okay, the T by n is the number of a connections. Okay, so here 3 is nothing but the total number of a connection. So the output time slot for the A1 is, that is the T by total number of a connection. So 3 is there, the T by 3. Okay, so that they have mentioned here. Okay, the input time slot is Ts, the output time slot will be the T by S, n is the number of n is the number of connection. Next one is the round of data unit from the each input connection is collected into the frame here. Okay, so whatever the input we have to collect, whatever the input or the data unit we have to collect, whatever the data unit we have to collecting from the each connection, so that we need to collect it into the frame at the output. Okay, so this is one frame. Okay, for example here we have to take as the first frame. Okay, in this first frame we have to collect the A3 data unit from the first connection and B3 data unit from the second connection and C3 data unit from the third connection. So that will be these 3 data unit we need to place into the one frame. Okay, same thing in the second frame, we need to take the A2 data unit from the first connection, B2 data unit from the second connection. Okay, in the second frame we have to take the A2 data unit from the first connection. Okay, and B2 data from the second connection and C2 data from the third connection. So that will we need to place into the second frame. Okay, so that is what they are told here. Okay, round of data from the each input collection into the frame, and the data of the link is n time faster. Okay, as I told that here what happened, what is the time we have to allocate for the data unit here, that is the T. We take A3 is the one data unit, the time allocated for is the T. Okay, so what is the output time we have to allocate it for that particular data unit A3. Okay, here also. Otherwise you can take the better you can take the here you can take the data unit A1 from the first connection. Okay, so here what happened, what time we have to allocate it for the A1 here. Okay, that is a T. Okay, so what time we have to allocate it at the output side for the A1, that is a T3. Okay, can also take as a B1. So what time we have to allocate it here, T. What time we have to allocate it at the output side, that is a T by 3. Okay, so means what that is indicates, what it is indicates here, there is a data rate of the link. Okay, so whatever the data rate of this particular link, okay, that is a n time faster than the input link. Okay, T we have to using for the each data unit, T by 3 time we have to using for the each data unit in the output slot. Okay, so means the data rate of this particular link has been higher than the input link. Okay, so that they are given here, the data rate of the link is n time faster. Okay, so this is what synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay, so what is the meaning of overall meaning of this synchronous time division multiplexing? Here each input link we have to divide it into the slots. Okay, each input we have to divide it into the slots. Each slot has contains the data unit. Okay, the time allocated for the each input data unit has a T. Okay, and time allocated for the each data unit in the output slot is, that is a T by 3. Okay, and we need to collect the data unit from the each connection. Okay, those data unit we need to place into the frames. Okay, and the data rate of the link has been higher than the data rate of the input link. Okay, that is a what. And next they are given the one node, the synchronous TDM, the data rate of the link is n time faster, the data unit duration is the n time shorter, that I already told that. Okay, so they have given one problem here. Okay, so in this figure, the data rate for the each one of the 3 input connection is 1 kbps. Okay, so you can refer this diagram. So the data rate of the each connection here 1 kbps here. Okay, and if one bit at a time is multiplexed, then what is the duration of the each input slots, what is the duration of the output slot, and what is first is the what duration of the input slots here. Okay, input slot means the slots of the each input, the duration of the each input slots. Okay, and the next they are given the duration, what is the duration of the output slots. Okay, so what is the duration of the output slot, that is particular data unit. Okay, what is the duration of the output slots. Okay, and next they have given the what is the duration of the each frame. Okay, so what is the duration, that is they are given here. Okay, what is the duration of the particular frame. Okay, so that we need to calculate here. Okay, so first we need to calculate the what is the duration of each data unit in the input link. Okay, so how we need to calculate here? Okay, we need to inverse that data rate. Okay, means we need to use the 1 by 1 kbps. Okay, we use the 1 by 1 kbps. 1 kbps is nothing but it is the data rate of the input link. Okay, kbps means that is 1000 beat per second, so that will give the 1 millisecond. Okay, so the 1 millisecond is nothing but it is a duration of the each data unit in the input link. Okay, and next one is the duration of the output time slot. Okay, so here what is the duration of the output time slot here? Sorry, what is the output time slots here? That is a T by 3 T. Okay, by 3 is nothing but the number of connection. Okay, so how many number of connections they have mentioned in the diagram? 3 input connection means there is a 3 connections are there. Okay, T by 3, T is nothing but it is the input data time slot. Okay, that is a t that I already calculated here. 1 millisecond divided by 3. Okay, it is a 1 by 3. Okay, that is a nothing but the output times for each data unit. Okay, and next one is here, that is the duration of the each frame. Okay, so now you need to calculate the what is the duration of this particular frame. Okay, so here what we have to do, the duration of frame is nothing but here it is a t. Okay, so what is the value of t here, whatever have to calculate it in the first section, that is a 1 millisecond. So that is a nothing but the duration of the each frame. Okay, so they have given the note the duration of the frame is same as the duration of the input time. Okay, so what is the meaning of that particular note here, the duration of the each data unit is same as the duration of the frame. Okay, so this is a one problem they have given here. So next we'll discuss the interleaving in the synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay, so in the interleaving we have to using the first point, there is a two fast rotating switch, one on the multiplexing side, other one the demultiplexing side. Okay, so here you have to take, there is a multiplexing side and the demultiplexing side. We have to using here two switches. Okay, two rotating switches we have to using here. Okay, and the second point is the switches are synchronized and rotate at the same speed but the opposite direction. Okay, so whatever these two switches are there, they are all are rotating same speed but in the opposite direction. One is rotating in this clockwise and another one is the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, and the next one is on the multiplexing side, as the switch opens in front of the connection, that connection has the opportunity to send the unit onto the path. That process we have to call as the interleaving. Okay, so here whenever the switches are rotating, okay, whenever switches are rotating, so it will be switch will be open at the each connection. Switch will be open at the each connection at every t second. Okay, first it will be open at the first connection. Okay, the first connection has the opportunity to send the data unit. Okay, the first connection has the opportunity here to send the data unit over the path whenever the switch is open at the first connection. Okay, so after t second the switch will move to the second connection. Okay, and the switch, whenever switch will move to the second connection, the switch will be open. So here the connection has the opportunity to send the data over the path. Same thing, it will after t second it will move to the third connection, then third connection has the opportunity to send the data over the path. Okay, so means after every t second each connection has sent the data unit over the path. Okay, same thing at the receiver side. Okay, so here what happened, the every t second the switch will be open. First it will be open to the first connection. The connection has now opportunity to receive the data unit from the path at that particular time. After that it will be opens to the second connection. The second connection has the opportunity to receive the data unit from the path. Okay, same thing, it will opens to the third connection, then third connection has the opportunity to receive the data unit from the farm. Means at every t time the each connection has the opportunity to receive the data unit from the farm. Okay, means the data rate has been the whatever the data unit we have to sending over the link, that rate has been same as the whatever the data in which rate the each connection has receiving the data from the particular link. Okay, so that what we have to call as a synchronization. Okay, so here each switch are the synchronized, means every t second the connection has sent the data over the path and every t second the connection has received the data from the path. Means the synchronization is the switch has been synchronized here. Okay, so that process we have to call as the interleaving. What is the interleaving means here? There is a two switches. Okay, two switches, each switch are rotating at the same speed. Same speed means every t second it will be open to the each connection. Okay, so at that time The each connection has opportunity to send the data over the link. At the same time, each connection has the opportunity to receive the data unit from the particular connection. Means the data rate of the whatever the rate of sending the data unit from the each connection to the data unit, and the data rate of each connection has receiving the data from the each path has been same here. Okay, so that can be done by using the two rotating switches. That what we have to call as a interleaving. Okay. So next we will discuss the data rate management. What is the data rate management? Here is the first point is not all the input links may have the same data rate. Okay, so here what happen, whatever the data, if there is a take as a, for example, there is a one device, there is a second device, there is a third device. Each device has a different data rate. Some device has a 1 kbps, some has a 2 kbps, some device has a 5 kbps. So they have a different data speed. Okay, the some links may be slower, means some device can be sending at 1 kbps at a lower speed. There may be several different inputs link speeds. Okay, means several devices have a different link speeds. Okay, so how to overcome these, or how we need to match those data rates. Okay, so that's why we are to using here three strategy. One is a multi-level, multi-slot, and pulse stuffing. Okay, so we will discuss that. So first we will discuss the what is a multi-level. Multi-level is nothing but the used when data rate of the input line is a multiple of others. Multiple of others means what happen here, whatever the data rate is there, that is a multiples of two data rate. Okay, two data rate. Okay, so here what is that, we have two inputs of 20 kbps. Okay, 20 kbps and three inputs of 40 kbps, means here data rate mismatch is there. Okay, because two are 20 kbps and remaining three are the 40 kbps, so that's why the data rate mismatch will be happen. Okay, so that's why what we have to do, the first two input lines we need to multiplex, the first two input lines we need to multiplex and produce the 40 kbps. Okay, that is equal to the remaining three data rates. Okay, and after that we need to perform the last multiplexing. Okay, that will give the data rate as a 160 kbps. Okay, so that what we have to call as a multi-level multiplexing. Okay, so what is a multi-level multiplexing? Here the data rate of the input line, okay, the data rate of the input line is a multiples of the other two data rate. Okay, so that what we have to call as a multiplexing, multi-level multiplexing. Okay, and second one is it is a multi-slot allocation here. Okay, so in this we need to allot more than one slot in the frame to the single input lines. Okay, more than one slot we need to allocate it in the output frame for the one input line. Okay, for example, we might have an input line that has a data rate that is a multiple of the another input. Okay, so that we will see here with the diagram. Okay, multi-slot. Okay, so here what happened, the whatever the data rate, so one is here it is a 50 kbps, 25 kbps. Okay, so these are the mismatch of the data rate here. Okay, mismatch of the data rate has been happen here. Okay, so that's why we need to make this 50 kbps demultiplexed into the 25 kbps and 25 kbps, means the 50 is a multiple of 225 kbps. Okay, so because of these 225 kbps we need to allocate the two slots in the, okay, we need to allocate two slots at the output frame here. For the one input we need to allocate the two slots here. Okay, so why you have to use the two slots? Because there is a we have to demultiplexing the 50 kbps into the 25 kbps and the 25 kbps, so that's why you need to allocate the two slots for the one input line. Okay, so here they are told that input line with the 50 kbps data and given two slots in the output frame, when insert the demultiplexer into the line to make the two inputs out of the one. Okay, two inputs from the out of one. Okay, then there is a equal, each link has a equal here what happen, each link has a equal data rate, okay, 25 kbps, 25 kbps, 25 kbps, okay. So that what we have to call as a multiple slots. Multiple slots is nothing but what happen, we have to demultiplex 50 kbps into 25 kbps, and we also need to allocate the two slots for the one input line in the particular plane. That why we have to call as a multi-slot multiplexing, okay. So this is a multi-slot multiplexing, okay. And next one is the pulse stuffing, okay, used when a bit rate of the source are not multiples of each other, okay. So here what happen in the pulse stuffing, the 50 kbps, 45, 46 kbps are there here, okay. The 46 kbps is not a multiple of 50 kbps, okay. So here whatever the data rates are there, that are not multiples of each other. The 50 is not a multiple of the 46, okay. At that time what we need to do here, okay, we need to slowest speed link will be brought up to the speed of the other link by the beat insertion here, okay. So whatever the slowest data rate here, the 46 kbps, we need to brought this 46, or we need to increase this data rate to the 50 kbps. How we need to increase? To adding the some additional beats into this data rate. That what we have to call as a pulse stuffing, okay. So when I have to add the some additional beat into that particular data rate, that will be increases to the 50 kbps. Now all the link has can send the same data rate, then we need to multiplex and we will get the final output as a 150 kbps, okay. So that what we have to call as a pulse stuffing. Pulse stuffing means you need to increase the lowest data rate into the data rate, that is a data rate that must be equal to the remaining data rate of the link, okay. That what we have to call as a pulse stuffing, okay. So these are the technique we have to use for to match the data rate of the link. Multi-level data rate of the input link is multiples of the other, and multi-slot means here you need to allocate the multiple slot for the each input line. And pulse stuffing means you need to add the some additional bit into the data rate, so that should be equal to the data rate of the other links, okay. That's what we have to call as a data rate matching, okay. Next one is the frame synchronization, okay. So here we need to perform the synchronization at the frame level. What is the synchronization at the frame level means? Here what happen, if you sending the frames, okay, there is no any distinguish between the frame, okay. So some of the bits will be come into the frame 3, or from the frame 2 that will be received into the frame 3, because there is no any distinguish between the frames, okay. So that way there is a overlapping of the frames should be happen, okay. So how to avoid those overlapping? So we need to add the some beats at the beginning of the frame, okay. So here we have to add the 1, second frame we have to add the 0, second third we have to add the 1, means alternative 1 and 0 we need to add at the beginning of the frame. So whenever this reading of this frame will be finished, and how we can identify the beginning of the next frame? By looking at the beats. If you if you identify this 0 bit, that indicates that the beginning of the new frame. Same thing if you receive the 1, so that will indicate the beginning of the another new frame. So in this way we need to distinguish between the frame. If you once you distinguish between the frame, then you can easily receive the beats which are present into that particular frame. Otherwise there is no beats you have to add at the beginning of the frame, then there is the overlapping of the frame will be happen. That what we have to call as a frame synchronization, okay. Next one is the empty slots, okay. So what is the empty slots is? Here is nothing but, okay, sometimes input links may have no data to transmit, okay. So here what happen, in the first connection, okay, in the first connection all, okay, in the first connection what happened, there is all the 3 slots are filled, but in the second connection there is no data has been present, okay. In third connection the 1 slot has been empty, here there is no data has been. In third connection all data are filled, okay. So that they have told that here the input link may not have a data to transmit, Okay, when that happens, one or more slots on the output link will be goes into unused. Okay, so if there is a whenever there is whenever you're giving the input to the multiplexer, so it will first take the single data unit from the first connection, that will allocate the output slot for that. Okay, that will allocate the first it will take the one data unit for the first connection. Okay, then it will allocate the output slot for that. Okay, then it will take the second connection. Okay, there is no data units are present in the second connection, still it will allocate the slots here. Okay, again it will go to the third connection, there is a data unit is present in the third connection, so it will allocate the output slot. Same thing, it will go to the fourth connection, so there is a data is present here, so it will allocate the data unit. Okay, so means whenever there is no data is present, still it will allocate the slots at the output side. So that particular slot we have to call as a empty slots. Okay, again you have to take the second input, so it will take the second data unit from the first connection, that will allocate here. Okay, and it will go to the next connection, there is no data, so it will only allocate the empty slot. It will go to the third connection. Okay, it will go to the third connection here, so here there is no data is present, so again there is allocate the slots at the output slide. Again it will goes to the fourth connection, there is a data is present, so that's why it will allocate the output slot. But there is a in the two input links there is a no data is present, so but there is a still the output slot has been allocated, so that what we have to call as a empty slots. Okay, so that is a what meaning of the empty slots. So there is a input link have a no data to transmit. What happen, one or more slots for the output link may goes into the unused, so these slots we have to call as a empty slots.